Two, one. Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Al Shem Yahweh Shai to the sisters. As usual, we're ISUPK. ISUPK started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Since 1969, I've been teaching the truth. So-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites. All right? Black History Month, right? Towards the tail end of Black History Month, we're going to go into the truth about Black history. These facts that you're going to hear in this class are going to be very, very important, of utmost importance to the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American. All right? Of utmost importance to us. Bear with me 1 second. All right? Bear with me 1 second. Get this other thing going. All right. So utmost importance to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Let me get Jeremiah 14:2. We're just going to go right into it. All right, I'm going to post a sign-in link momentarily. If you're in Alaska, anywhere across planet Earth, you want credit for attending this class, make sure you go to ISUPK Alaska. Right now, you're in the chat. Go to YouTube, go to the chat, click the sign-in link. Okay, press the sign-in link, which will be posted in the chat. I'm going to post it now, all right? Bear with me 1 second. When you get Jeremiah 14:2, you may read.
Come on, sir.
All right, you have questions, type them in. If you have questions, type them in. Anyone in anyone in view, type your questions in if you have them, all right? Type your questions in. ISUPK Alaska, live and in the building. I'm your host, Priest Officer 5000 Abun. Joining me today is Priest Officer 50 Kayatawan. You have the scripture? Let's go. God, read it when you have it.
Jeremiah 14:2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish.
Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. Officer Kayatawan, break that down. What does that mean? Judah mourneth. Let's break that first part down first. What does that mean?
Judah mourneth, the so-called, not the so-called, but the so-called Negroes who are Judah, they are mourning because everything is happening to us. You know, we get we're the last on the totem pole. We get beat up by the cops. We get treated like, you know, third class citizens. You know, everything they can do to us, they do to us, and you know, everything that's unfair, you know, they treat us like which is nothing.
Right. What you want to do, you want to break it down line by line. That's correct. But that's not how you teach. You're talking to people that have no idea what you're talking about. So what you want to do is you want to build it up. You know the part about the Negroes being the Jews is later in the verse. So if you know that, wait till you get to that part. First part, Judah mourneth. Break that down, officer. Judah mourneth. This is how you break it down. The real Jews are in mourning. All right? There's a man, well, first of all, the term Jew is just short for Judah. That's all it means. There's nothing mystical about it. It has nothing to do with your religious ideology. The world thinks that a Jew is anyone that converts to Judaism. That is a religion. If you are a so-called Negro, all right, and you descended from slaves in America, I don't care if you believe in a head of lettuce. You are a biblical ethnic Jew. All right, I'm still getting a little far ahead, but in any event, that's more along the lines of how you want to break it down. Judah mourneth. Just break down Judah mourneth. There's a man in Israel that says he's a real Jew, but is he in mourning? No. He has the Iron Dome, which is a nearly impenetrable missile defense system. He owns the Diamond District. Okay? If you say anything against him, he cries anti-Semitism, and your whole show, your whole system is shut the hell down. Okay? The so-called Jew, he's not in mourning. But there are people over here on this earth, all right, on this side of the earth, if you will, over here in America, they're mourning. You get my point? The so-called Negro in America is mourning. Now you can add it in, Officer Kiyatawan. The so-called Negro in America, he is mourning. We're full of murder. Our communities are full of murder, full of poverty. They set up a system of institutionalized poverty, man. You get my point? 1 in 3 black women has been raped or molested by the time they're 18 years old, man. You understand? We're in mourning. Our women, our sisters are in mourning. The single parent, a single mother is one of the hardest jobs to have. You get my point? It's terribly difficult. How do I know? Because it takes 2 to make 1. You get my point? And we're mammals, so the young are typically raised by both of the parents in some form or fashion, but not in the so-called Negro community. All right, we're the last hire. We're the first fire. We were hung from trees. We fight and die for this country, and this country gives us nothing for in return. The real Jews are in mourning. That's what the Bible says. You compare that with the so-called Jew over there in the state of Israel, all right, with 2 little tassels, 2 little braids, some flimsy tassels, and wearing black. Compare the two. Judah mourneth. Read on.
They are black unto the ground.
Nope. After
And they
Judah
cry,
mourneth. If I repeat it, you're just learning how to read. If I repeat it, right? Judah mourneth. Go ahead. You're going to read after Judah mourneth. You understand? So Judah
and the
mourneth.
gates thereof, and the gates thereof languish.
Language.
Languish.
You'll pause at the commas and semicolons, etc. Languish. All right. The word languish implies that the object that it's describing, right? Because the word languish is describing the state of the gate, right? The gate is languishing, it's not strong. That term languish implies that the gate is living, okay? This is not a literal iron fence, all right? This is not this is not a gate, like a gated community. This isn't a wooden fence. Our gates are our protection, Officer Kiyata. Who are our protection that is living? Who is supposed to be our protection? Our leaders. Every other race has great leaders, man. Every other race has great leaders. The Asians have Kim Jong-un or Il, whatever that is, ruling over North Korea. They have Xi Jinping ruling over China. Right? They have great leaders, excellent leaders, man. Excellent leaders. What do we have? Who do we have? You get my point? Like, we have nobody. No one. All right? We've got, give me some names. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. Okay? Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
These are our so-called leaders. Okay? These are our leaders, and they're terrible, man. They're terrible. Like I was about to say, hold on one second. Like I was about to say, what was I about to say? Jesse Jackson was against abortion initially. He was against abortion, but when he was going to run for president, he changed his whole platform. Okay, am I right? He changed his whole platform when he ran for president. He was now for abortion after that point. Our gates language. Our leaders you can buy for $2, man. Adolf Hitler wasn't like that. Adolf Hitler stayed with his people till the end, committed suicide in a bunker, man, in Berlin when the Russians and the other Allied forces were closing in on Berlin, man. You understand? Like, they have leaders that won't give up on them. Trump, I'll give him I'll make him a little bit of an exception because he threw those stupid Proud Boys, he threw Billy Pickles and them under the bus. Okay? But for the most part, they have great leaders. Ronald Reagan, who was excellent at murdering black people. Excellent. The trap king, Ronald Reagan, with his crack cocaine. While his wife, Nancy Reagan, said, just say no. Must be nice. Okay? Our gates languish. Our gates are languish. Read on.
They are black unto the ground.
They are what?
They are black unto the ground.
They are what?
They are black unto the ground.
They are black unto the ground. They are black unto the ground. Close it up, Officer Kiyata. That's it. We done with class. You get my point? That's it. That's class right there. That's Black History Month. Now, why are they teaching this in your school? Why aren't they telling this to our youth, man? Our sisters are showing more thong than a damn salad bar because they have extremely low self-esteem. They'll put on a big front. I'm doing this for me. I'm unbothered, Kayadawan. You hear that? Unbothered. It's a black woman term. I don't know what in the hell that means. Unbothered. Not interested. Doing me. Independent. Meanwhile, okay, is bothering all of social media with her nudity. She is bothered. She has extremely low self-esteem, this type of woman. You crush OnlyFans, man, if you told so-called black women that they were the daughters of Zion and not $40 in 15 minutes and not a hot girl, all right? Not a hot girl, okay? The body, it doesn't unthaw the pipes in Texas, Officer Kayadawan. It can't, the hot girl, right? The Busset Challenge, it didn't turn the power back on in Texas, okay? That nonsense is being shown to be faulty. That whole philosophy. They are black unto the ground. Understand this, that if you are a so-called Negro, descendant of slaves, suffering and dying, whose people are suffering and dying, you are the biblical ethnic Jew. And whatever that is crawling around in Israel, they're not the real Jews. They come from the Ukraine. That's where they come from. Okay, they take pilgrimages to the Ukraine to this day to have boys and animals and all manner of other nonsense. All right, they come from the Khazarian Empire. The so-called Jew, all right, he descends from the Khazarian Empire. You can look this up. Their scholars will tell you, all right, that they are Khazar converts who converted during the second or third crusade. I believe the second crusade was during the 700s. They converted in between 700 and 800 AD so that they wouldn't have to be subjugated under the Christians or the Muslims. If they converted to Islam, they have to pay a fee to the Sassanids, the Sassanid Empire. Under, who was that? What was that cat's name? Soleimani. Right? I could be getting that name wrong. Or they would have to become Christians and become tribute to the West, or the Byzantine Empire, what have you. So they converted, they picked a religion in the middle, which was Judaism, so they could do dealings with both sides. That's who they are, man. Eastern Europeans, Slavs. They descend from Amalek. But the real Jews are so-called Negroes here in America, and that's black history. Why aren't your schools teaching this? Why isn't Black Lives Matter pushing these videos, man? They should be. They should be pushing these videos. They should be teaching about the truth. All right? If we want to quote-unquote uplift ourselves, how are we uplifting ourselves in a philosophy that has nothing to do with us? The Africans don't have anything to do with us, man. 2021, the Africans didn't send a boat, a plane, a steamship. They didn't even send a message in a bottle, Officer Kayadawan. Not one message in a bottle has been thrown across the Atlantic Ocean to the Negro saying, you are my brother from your cousins over in Africa, Matumbo. They didn't do any of that, man. Okay? Nothing. I didn't get a Lion King. I didn't get a Simba. Nothing. I didn't get we can't even get a drum beat from the so-called Africans for our suffering. Why? Because we are the biblical ethnic Jews, not Africans. That's Jeremiah 14:2. All right? Those are emotions. That wasn't my truth, your truth. That wasn't what I've heard my entire life. That's just the truth. That's the truth. This should be pushed during Black History Month. All right? We should not worshiping some Negro that made the peanut into different things. George Washington Carver. This is no disrespect to George Washington Carver or W.E.B. Du Bois or Marcus Garvey. All right? But our history is more than a Negro that made things out of peanuts. Okay? Who had his balls cut off. That's the model Negro, Officer Kayadawan. He's got no testicles, making things out of peanuts. That's what they want us to be. Just a sexless, emasculated slave for them. Nah, man. Nah, we come from warriors, man. Our history predates slavery. We have history before slavery. That history's in the Bible. Let's get more so-called Black history. Let's show you the transatlantic slave trade. Drop Jeremiah 14 and 2. You know what I want, Officer Keyada want. I want Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. The transatlantic slave trade is in the Bible. Okay? Slave trade of our brothers and sisters over there to East India is in the Bible. Okay? Because you have to understand that some slaves they took east over into the Middle East. You've got cousins and brothers and sisters in the Middle East. Okay? In the state of Israel right now, the Afro-Palestinians, the Afro-Indians, okay, some of the Afro-Iranians as well. All right, descend from the tribe of Judah or Benjamin or Levi taken over on the east side. Okay? But the Africans aren't our brothers, man. They sold us to those people. I'm going to show you the transatlantic slave trade in the Bible. This is also Native American history because you had Native American boats which are going from America to Europe. That's really how it started. Columbus was taking Taino slaves back to Spain to make them into a Barnum and Bailey circus, okay, and to mock them and to get more funds to Christianize the so-called savages. I'll show you more black history in the Bible. Read.
Deuteronomy 16 and 20.
Deuteronomy 28, 68.
Deuteronomy 21 and 16.
28 and 68.
28 and 16. 28 and 16. Deuteronomy 28 and 16.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. All right, anyone watching, if you have a question, type your question in. You have a question, type your question in, all right?
Deuteronomy 16 and 28. 21 and 28. My bad.
No, what did I
68.
just say? What chapter and verse did I just say?
Deuteronomy 28 and 68.
Let's go there, all right?
And the Lord shall bring thee unto Egypt again with ships.
The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. What is Egypt? The word Egypt comes from the Greek word Egyptos, which means bondage. Exactly. The Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships. All right, break it down, Officer Keyada 1, line by line. The first line says, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. What does that mean?
The Most High was telling them if our peoples wouldn't stop sinning and do what he wants them and commands and do what he commands them to do, he will let them carry on. But if they keep sinning, by generation with generation, he will send them back to Egypt again with ships, which is not the old Egypt, but it's the America. America is the new Egypt, because you can't, how can you go from Egypt with ships?
Right, absolutely. So America is spiritually Egypt and spiritually Sodom. All right, America is a land of bondage. You don't believe me? Go check out the incarceration rate. All right? The incarceration rate in America is ridiculous. Highest in the world, by far, by a wide margin. Why? Because America is a land of bondage. America opened not the house of its prisoners, as it says in the scriptures, man. America is the house of bondage. All right? Going back in Egypt again with ships. That's the transatlantic slave trade. We will go back into slavery again with ships. That was primarily here in the Americas. Read on. After ship.
By the way, whereof I spake unto thee.
Meaning this, the way I'm saying it here, the way I'm breaking it down to you here in Deuteronomy 28 chapter is just how it's going to happen. Meaning this, if you don't do what I say, if you don't follow me and worship me alone and keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to put you back in Egypt with ships. With ships. The Israelites walked out of Egypt into Israel. So this couldn't be talking about the Egypt as we know it today. This is talking about a new Egypt, like you said, a different land. America is Egypt. The founding fathers patterned America after Egypt. They were Freemasons. Okay? And the Washington Obelisk is a direct carbon copy after the obelisk of ancient Egypt. All right? Many of their practices are the same practices that was done in Egypt. Egypt had a civil war just like America's civil war, where you had the North versus the South. You had Upper Egypt versus Lower Egypt. Egypt was territorial and domineering just like America was. All right? And many other similarities as well. By the way, whereof I spake unto thee. Read on after that.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
Thou shalt see it no more again. Break it down. What does that mean, officer?
We will never see our homeland again.
Yeah, we wouldn't see it again. You can take a plane from Chicago to Dimona right now. You can go and sit in the Negev Desert right next to the nuclear power plants. That's where they put the Negroes that went back over to Israel in the 60s. They stuffed them right next to the nuclear power plants right there in Dimona, in the Negev Desert, the southern desert. All right? They had to fight for their damn citizenship. Fight to be considered an Israeli, quote unquote.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you got rainbow parades, LGBT parades in Tel Aviv. They're trying to legalize smoking weed. Brothers and sisters online, you see anything about ancient Israelites using marijuana? Know that it's for this one purpose. The state of Israel, the Israelis, the fake Jew wants to legalize recreational marijuana in the state of Israel, and so he's trying to get a moral ground for it. And his moral ground is, well, the Israelites use it in worship. See, look at this THC, look at this crack rock on the altar. See, the Israelites use drugs. They got high. Look at the buds. There's buds right there on Solomon's altar. Look at it. Look at it. It's right here. Look, you can still smoke it. How in the hell can you prove that Israelites smoked weed from 2,000 years ago? That's a far-fetched one. Okay, I didn't know THC had a half-life of 4, 5, 6,000 years. That's ridiculous, man. 3, 4, 5,000 years. Okay, you're going back, 4 or 5,000 years. The THC lasted that long. Give me a damn break. All right? So we don't see our homeland again. We see a weed-filled, bastard-run, and sodomite-loving little strip of land. And the Arabs, the British Empire carved up the rest of our land for those terrorists, those damn Arabs, criminals. Okay? But Iraq, Iran, part of Afghanistan, Turkey, part of Turkey, Jordan, part of Saudi Arabia, all that's our land. Matter of fact, going around Saudi Arabia, all that's our land. All right? That's the land of Israel. That whole Middle East is ours. What they call politically the Middle East. Okay? When you break down the 4 rivers and you really read and dig into the extent of David and then Solomon's empire. Read on.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
All right, that was meaty. That was very meaty, officer. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. So we've established that a people, the Israelites, were going to slavery on ships. Right? They wouldn't see their homeland again. What is their homeland? Israel, which is today known as the so-called Middle East. When they got to this place, Egypt, right, they would be sold unto their enemies. Now we know black people are the real Jews, right? Latinos, Native Americans as well. When so-called black people got to the shores of America, the shores of Brazil, got to the shores of Canada, who were they sold to, officer?
Oh, you can refer to them as Romans, Caucasian, or the so-called white man, or the red devil that the Bible speaks of.
Caucasians our oppressor. That would make so-called Caucasians
Oppressor, enemies.
our enemies. Okay? He is not your friend. I know you think that because you have so-called Caucasian friends that all is peace, love, and granola. Let me help you out. Dylan Storm Roof murdered 9 black people and did God knows what else in that church, the AME church in Charleston, South Carolina. Dylan Storm Roof also had a black friend, Negro. He also had a black friend who defended him even in the massacre. I don't think he did it because of their race. I don't think he did. Dylan Storm Roof had a black friend. Just because you have Caucasians that want to get high with you and play video games, it does not mean that their crimes have gone unpunished, and that does not mean that they are not your enemies, that they won't go pick up a gun and go murder your brothers and sisters, man, while they're trying to worship the way they know how, the way they think to worship the true living power. They are your enemies. We have to understand that here in so-called Black History Month, that so-called black people have enemies. A Jewish man wouldn't wear a Nazi emblem and say, Hinga Jinga, it's Heil Hitler. He wouldn't do that. A Jewish man wouldn't do that. Then what is the Negro doing picking up weed? What is the so-called Negro doing picking up crack, selling crack in Anchorage? What is the so-called Negro doing picking up 12 gauges, wearing blue? You got blue, I got red. We crept in blood. Let's fight and kill each other over land that some damn slumlord down in Las Vegas owns. Okay? Some slumlord that owns our damn tenements, our apartment building, our shacks, our slave quarters. We have enemies. And the failure of Black History Month is this. The author of Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson, wanted, his purpose for so-called Black History Month was to, through education, it would make our oppressor, the Caucasians, hate us less. He thought that through education, they would hate us less. I can't even begin to tell you, Officer Kiadawan, how idiotic that is. Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month, believed that through education, our enemies, the so-called Caucasians, would be less racist. Would be less racist. How well has that worked? How well has that worked?
Hasn't worked good at all.
It's worked poorly, man. Excellent point. Excellent answer. All right? Excellent answer. It hasn't worked. Why? Because they are our enemies. Get me that scripture. Okay, you gotta want to get me hold what you have here. Get me Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha. Give me Ecclesiasticus. Let me get chapter 12, verse 10 to help the viewers out. They are our enemy. We're sold to our enemies. The people that purchased us in slavery. Hopster 25, 30. This is really good wench, good Negro gal here. 25, 30, 35, 35, 20. She's 25 years old here for 35, 25, 40, Mr. Smith, 40, 55, 25, 50, Mr. Oppenheimer, sold. Negro gal, 25, sold to Mr. Oppenheimer. Good sale, my sir. Those people and their descendants and their children and their cousins and their nephews and their government and their police force are our enemies. And what should we do with our enemies, Officer Kiadawan? Should we love them and hug them? Should we drape them in a rainbow flag? Should we tell them how to rap? Oh, Eminem can rap, right? Tell them how to rap. Should we love a few of them that play the saxophone and get blowjobs in the Oval Office? Bill Clinton, oh, he black, he smoked weed. Yo, he went to the McDonald's, he smoked weed, he got a blowjob, man. He's black. That makes him a black man. Give me a break. They're our enemies, man. And Broadway Joes and the racial amoeba, the racial microorganism, Kamala Harris, are going to show so-called black people just who and what they are, that they are our enemies. All right? They are our enemies. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. Let's go. Double time. Bible Kushab. It's in the Apocrypha, all right? When you have it, read it, all right?
Ecclesiastes 12 verses 10.
12 and 10. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The preacher sought to find out.
No. Ecclesiasticus. I said the Apocrypha. And not the Old Testament, the Apocrypha. You might have to look it up on your device. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. All right, because we're going to explain this. We're going to lay it down all the way crisp and flat. All right? Black History Month, during Black History Month, they don't teach that we have enemies. All right, why? Because the founder, Carter G. Woodson, established Black History Month because he believed that by educating the devil, by educating our slave master, he would be less racist. You can go look him up. That's quoted as his belief. Through education, that will be less racist. Well, that's proven not to be true. Why has that been proven not to be true? That has been proven to not be true because they have a perpetual hatred for us. All right, they have a perpetual hatred for us. I'm going to get Ezekiel while the brother is looking for Ecclesiasticus. I'm going to get Ezekiel 35 verse 5. And you can't Black History Month your way out of this. You can't sit down. Now, Billy, you have to love the Negro and love the Negro gal. Look, Billy, they do nice things with peanuts, Billy. Billy is still going to grow up and hate so-called Negroes. Billy is still going to grow up and pepper spray and bear mace our 9-year-old daughters in the eyes. Billy is still going to grow up and be a proud boy. All right? That's not going to help and stop a thing. What they need to do is they need to educate these so-called Caucasian boys to not be school shooters. You got to help them out, man. All right? If you're so-called Caucasian, you need to help these Caucasian boys. You need to help them out with some game. Tell them how to talk to women. Okay? So we don't all die. Because they're going to kill everybody and kill all our kids in the school because some Brittany won't give her the cake and cookies. All right, he's going to walk in with a 12 gauge and some pipe bombs and wreak havoc on all the other kids. Okay, that's what they need to teach these so-called Caucasian boys. Help them out, stop them from being proud boys and terrorists. Okay, all right. They don't need to learn about our history, okay? It's not going to help them not to hate us. I'm going to show you Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Who is the thou? Mount Seir, Edom, Esau, all right? Edom, or Esau, okay, whose name was later changed to Edom, which means red. Okay, this is another thing that needs to be taught during Black History Month, is there is no such thing as a black person, quote unquote. Okay, there is no country called black. I can't get a passport and go to the country black. There is no government in a country named black. Just like there is no government in a country named white. But there is a government in Belgium, viewers. There is a government in Spain. There is a government in Germany, in Russia. Where do all these nations come from? Rome. Where do the Romans come from? The Edomites. All right? And we need to understand that these so-called Caucasians are the Edomites of the Bible. They're the most hated people on the face of the earth, both by man and by God. And God has no mercy laid up for the Edomites, the so-called Caucasians. This is Black history, man. Like, this is something we need to learn. We need to stop trying to seek love from our oppressor. That's what needs to be taught during Black history. Not, let's learn about one Negro that made cosmetics out of the peanut. Again, no disrespect to what's the brother's name? To George Washington Carver. No disrespect to Marcus Garvey. No disrespect to Madam C.J. Walker. But we need to learn about the Bible. That Black history is in the Bible and great men and women that were in the scriptures. All right? Ezekiel 35 and 5 says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, it's never ending. You can't educate them about it. You can't teach them about a Negro that made cosmetics out of a peanut. You can't teach them about the black female computers, all right? You can't teach them about Martin Luther King's dream and a 10-second clip from his I Have a Dream speech and then go ahead and think, oh, well, this means, we've overcome, Black History Month, we're going to do better. Everything's going to be fine. That's not going to stop them from being racist. Black History Month, quote unquote, the premise of it was to educate our oppressor. Why do we trim our ways to seek love, man? Why do we trim our ways to seek love? They have a perpetual hatred. That's it. That's not going to change. What can change is us. We can change. We can repent. We've been given a record so precious, a record that men have killed, died, and fought wars for, crusades over. We've been given a record that allows us to change, that shows us the path to change. Give me that, man. Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. This is what needs to be taught in so-called Negro schools during Black History Month. Read.
Never trust thy enemy.
Never do what?
Like it. Never trust thy enemy.
Never trust thy enemy. Never trust him. Never trust him. The Native Americans, they know this now. The wise ones do. All right? Many other nations, the Arabs, the Japanese, they know this now. To never trust a so-called Caucasian. Never trust your enemy. We read in Deuteronomy 28 and 68 that you will go and be sold unto your enemies. The Bible, God said never to trust them. During Black History Month, we should learn to never trust our oppressor, man. So whenever he comes with anything, that weed is a god. Who said that smoking weed was black? Because I can go back in the 70s and I can watch, or the 20s, I can watch, what was that movie? Reefer Madness. You ever heard about that? Reefer Madness. This is before Cheech and Chong. Reefer Madness and many other movies that warned against the evils of smoking marijuana. I can go back in the 70s where in the so-called black community, a drug dealer was disgusting, was a vile piece of garbage, and he was thought of as so. Then in the late 80s, you had Jewish men, Amalek, all right, fake Jews like Jeffrey Heller, etc., that promoted cats that were acting like criminals and promoted criminals to a high state in the so-called black community. They made criminals idols, okay, which is about the dumbest thing we can believe in, all right? But during Black History Month, we should understand to never trust our enemy. When he comes to you, oh, I got a pill for you. Come here, Mookie. Come here, Jamal. I got a pill. Look at the wrapper. It's real nice. It's called Harlem Magic. All right, that was back in the 70s, I believe. Look here, I got this new stuff. It's called heroin. It'll make you feel nice and good. I know you're stressed out, right? I know your grandmama, I know she had all those clothes on down south, but loosen up. Then his partner in crime, so-called white woman, came to our sisters. I know you had all them clothes on down south. You were being oppressed. You were under oppression back then. Loosen up. Take the clothes off. Take power in your body. Right? Appreciate your body. Don't be ashamed. Right? If I appreciated something, hold on 1 second, viewers. If I appreciated something, right, and I thought it was important, would I show everybody? Right? If I had a bar of gold, or would I walk down the street and throw the damn thing on the ground, take it onto the train, hurl it over the tracks, then come back and go grab it, and let everybody look at it, and just walk on it and gaze at it? No. If I had something precious, man, I'd cover it up. If I had something precious, I lock it away, right? Because it's a treasure. The so-called black woman, also during Black History Month, needs to understand that she is a treasure, man. Okay? That's straight out the scriptures. I'm going off on a tangent here, but this is all on point. Never trust your enemy. The enemy said, I know all your grandmothers, they were all dressed up. You don't need to do that. Loosen up. This was done in the 70s. They would give, my mother told me in the area she lived in, this is a so-called black community, they would give the little girls, they would give them paper bags full of birth control pills, like this big. She's 13 or something. This is during the 70s. They would hand them giant paper bags to the sisters. They would hand giant paper bags of birth control and condoms out. She told me that she remembers it. And she's a little girl, like, I don't know what all this is about. They push that, man. And now we think it's black culture to wear a bikini, to wear underwear. Women walking around in underwear all over social media and all these rap records. Okay? That was pushed to us. That was pushed to us by our enemy. We shouldn't trust him in anything that he comes with. All right? This whole no clothes on OnlyFans is from the oppressor. I can go back 3 generations. My grandmother down there in South Carolina, you wouldn't see her ankles. Her dressing up in ankles, her dressing up with her ankles shown was considered loose and fast. Now, I understand that there are households that have habitually, where the women have habitually been raped. That's happened in the black community, and that's where much of this is from. You ran into the sister that said, "Oh, my grandma, my mom was into this." That's because they come from women that the slave master took advantage of, and it just continues. The cycle continues. The generational oppression, generational curses continue. So that happened, man. But that wasn't the culture. That wasn't the norm. Who came with that? The enemy. What did God say? Never trust your enemy. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter should see that. Anytime you have to go and march to someone to plead for your humanity, you are dealing with a psychopath, man. That's a psychopath. He does not have empathy. He does not see others as human beings, and he takes he has extreme reaction to situations that don't call for it. You can just look up the definition of psychopath, you can link it to the police, and you can prove us to be lying or not. And what you'll find is that the ISUPK, everything we've been saying is true. The police force is absolute psychopaths. You're dealing with a race of psychopaths. They are interested in the men to be castrated. That's why they keep coming with these skinny jeans. All right? The skinny jeans come, the purses come. You got some Negro with a diamond in between, a dot in between his head, like he's an East Indian, like he's from New Delhi. Like he's got the curry. He's gonna play a flute for this snake. Look like a joke. Look like Aladdin. Where's his carpet? All right. A $24 million diamond in his head. You know why they did that? They did that to effeminize our brothers, to push our brothers to be feminine, man. That comes from the enemy. Never trust your enemy. I hope that point has been made crystal clear. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. Read that again. All right, viewers.
Never trust thine enemy.
All right, go ahead.
For like as iron rusteth,
go ahead.
So is his wickedness.
Right. For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. How does iron rust? Iron rust, if you leave a piece of iron out in the air, it begins to oxidize. Right? It interacts with oxygen that's present in the air. Through the chemical reaction, you see an orange flake, an orange dust form on the surface of that iron. That's his wickedness, man. That's his wickedness. He can come with peace, love, and granola, right? Liberation for all women, right? Birth control, that's all he's come with, just birth control, right? There's too many of you here. Too many of you are being born in the slums. Would you like a Planned Parenthood? Would you like to plan your parenthood? Keisha, you're poor. You're from North Philly. You're from Anchorage. A Crip got you pregnant. He's not going to stay with you. He's back in LA right now. Oh, look at him. He's sea walking. Look at him. Look at him sea walk. He can't take care of the kids. Brenda, you should have an abortion. They'll come sweetly, but their wickedness is as iron rusted. Meaning what? Over time, it'll just become evident what their intentions are, which are wickedness to destroy, man. The thief cometh not but to kill, to rob and to kill. I'm paraphrasing. All right? Is that it on verse 10?
No, there's more, sir. Thou he humble himself and go crouching.
That's what I said. He humbled himself. I have black friends. I have black friends. Come here, black friend. Look at me. I'm not racist. Dylan Roof had black friends as well. He had a black friend. That's a fact. Dylan Roof murdered 9 people and did God knows what else in that church. Dylan Roof had black friends. Dylan Storm Roof had black friends. All right? He'll go crouching. He'll go humbling. He'll humble himself. Joe Biden humbled himself. The struggle of African Americans in this country, blah, 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 blah. He can barely string together a sentence, too. You know America's done when your president that cat cannot put a sentence together, the president of the United States. All right? He halfway, is senile. All right? He can't string a sentence together. He went crouching because you can go back in the 80s, the 70s, the 90s and hear him talk about so-called black people like they were trash. Talk about our schools like houses of roaches, if you will. I'm paraphrasing. When Hillary Clinton was calling us the super predator, when Hillary Clinton was saying we need to be brought to heel, he was penning the policy that put many of our fathers, many of our uncles, many of our cousins behind bars on drug charges or on trumped up charges. You steal a pair of hedge clippings, like that brother did down in Louisiana, who Trump just pardoned. This cat stole hedge clippings and got life in prison. They go crouching. I'm for the African American, blah, 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 blah. They'll go crouching. Kamala Harris, we need a black people. Sound like Lois from Family Guy. That might have been the voice of Lois. Okay? Kamala Harris. I gonna want a Peter. All right? She's gonna go crouch. She went crouching as well. Even though that woman has been a monster on that podium in the District of San Francisco, man, against so-called black people, so-called black men. Up in the Breakfast Club talking about she smoked weed in college and listened to Tupac. Meanwhile, she was in college in '86 and Tupac didn't come out till '91. She said in the '80s when she was in college, she listened to Tupac. That Negro didn't come out till 6 years after, man. Give me a break. Like all somebody has to do, and this is why this proves Black History Month's failed us. All somebody has to do is come, say they smoke weed, maybe get a blowjob in the Oval Office, and then they're black. Go to McDonald's, and then they're black. That's disgusting, man. What we should really be taught is that we should never trust our enemies. And these people that purchased us, we got off the slave ships, are our enemies, man. They're our enemies. Read on in Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, you finished Deuteronomy 28 and 68?
Yes. We still have more of this right here on the Ecclesiastes 12 and 10.
Yeah, let's keep reading. Let's finish Ecclesiastes 12 and 10. Mm-hmm.
Yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass,
right? And
thou shalt know that his trust hath not been altogether wiped away.
Narrowly look on him, consider him, take a look at him, and he'll be to you as if you wiped the looking glass. Meaning that you'll be looking at him, he'll go crouching, he'll go humbling, he'll say he smoked a little weed, right? She'll say she listened to Tupac. Look at Kamala. Take a little look at Kamala Harris. Let her sit in that vice president's chair for about a month and watch what happens. They'll be pushing for more fudge packing rights than a Hershey's factory. Okay? Meanwhile, doing nothing for the so-called Negro. Watch Joe Biden. Watch him move in that office. First of all, he said he was going to push those stimulus checks. You remember that? I remember that. I'm not letting that go. President-elect Joe Biden said he was going to give more stimulus money. Where is my free money? He also said he was going to cancel or relieve student debt. That's definitely something that he said. All right. He also said he was going to give money to individuals in Georgia who voted for him. All these presidents are liars, man. They all are. If you consider them, you look at them, they'll be unto you as if you wipe the looking glass. Meaning this, you look for them to be nice, to be kind. You'll wipe that looking glass, and they'll be the same devil, the same wicked man or woman that they are, man. That's what needs to be taught during Black History Month. We need to identify our enemies, and we need to never act like them. You want to sum up the laws of God, the laws of the Most High? Don't do what the Egyptians do. That's the law, is it not? Leviticus 18:3, you shall not do as the Egyptians. When you go into the scriptures on marring the beard, on shaving the head, on incest, Leviticus 18, on illicit sex, all that was being done by the Egyptians. Well, you want to sum up the law today? Don't do as the Egyptians do. Don't do what Caucasians do. Nothing. The Caucasians come up with prostitution, a new way to be a prostitute, like OnlyFans. Don't use it. Don't go on it. If the slave master comes up with this new drug, it's a new drug. Mookie, Jamal, Darquisha, look at this new drug. Ooh, it'll get you high. It's cool to be high. Listen to all the rappers. Listen to Lil Tucci say it. Listen to Little Skip Hop Beat Bop say it. Get high. They've made us out to be fools, man. And we are better than that. We are the priests and daughters of Zion on this earth, not strippers and murderers and thugs, all right? Because that's their culture. The story of Western civilization is white on white crime, Caucasian on Caucasian crime. Not ours. That's not our history. All right? That shouldn't be our history in America, and that shouldn't be how we conduct ourselves. All right? So drop that. Give me Song of Solomon 1 and 5. If you're watching this on Facebook, smash the like button, please. Share this across all the groups that you're in. Okay? Comment. If you have a question, you can type your questions in. If you have questions anywhere, type your questions in. This is the ISUPK Alaska class, Saturdays, 4 p.m., 6 p.m. Hosted by myself, Priest Officer of 5000 Abun, joined by Priest Officer of 50 Kayatawan, do an excellent job of reading. Okay? We're going to set the record straight whether you like it or not. All right? This is the good news. This is the gospel right here. All right? Not what you've received in church. When you have the scripture, read Song of Solomon 1 and 5.
Song of Solomon 1 and 5. I am black, but comely.
I am black but comely. Read on.
O ye daughters of Jerusalem.
O ye daughters of Jerusalem. This is what Solomon said to his sisters. Okay? Now, another thing you have to understand as well, the Song of Solomon was not Solomon writing to his heathen wives. Solomon did take his heathen wives. All right? But this book was written these songs were written when he was in the truth, so you can understand. All right? And the women that he was writing to, the women that were talking back to him were Israelite women. He's saying it right here. O ye daughters of Jerusalem. I am black but comely. I am black and beautiful. Does the African say that? My name is Mutombo, but I am black and beautiful. No. No. Does the East Indian say it? Huh?
No.
Does the Chinese say it? Vietnamese? No. The so-called Negro here in America says it. Solomon was the so-called Negro, so you can understand. All right? He said he's black and beautiful, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. Okay? He didn't say, oh, come here, ho. Huh? That's what's going on in the black and Hispanic community. Talk about these sisters, man, like they're animals. All right? When it's not warranted. You get my point? Like there's a time to be harsh to anyone. All right? The scripture says this, for all things there is a season. But if you calling someone a dog or a whore just because, they're not going to roll your weed or they're not going to do some nonsense, they're not going to have a threesome. So, you curse them out, you kick them to the curb. That's not right, man. Solomon said to his sisters, his wives, so you can understand, who were so-called black women, he said to them, I'm black and beautiful. Okay? And I say that to say this, that's something else that needs to be highlighted. Like, we have to be kind to one another, man. We have to be kind to one another and treat each other the way we would want to be treated. Once again, the slave master pushed that. Yeah, call her a bitch. Call her, call them, not a bitch, nappy-headed hoes. Call them nappy-headed hoes. Tell them I smashed some hoe. You can assume in a rap song when they're talking about hoes, they're talking about black women. Okay? Why? Because that's what white supremacy dictates. That the so-called black woman is something to be had sex with. And the so-called black man is something to just throw in jail. They did the same thing with the so-called Native American. They did the same thing with the so-called Latino. All right? When we have to be kind to one another, that's what the scriptures say, man. The scriptures say in Ephesians 5, husbands, love your wives. Treat her as the weaker vessel. All right? You can't talk to her like she's a damn animal. You can't kick her to the curb and talk about her like she's an animal. All right? Just because she did something that didn't please you. That's what needs to be taught during Black History. All these lessons, man. All these lessons. Solomon was a black man. Why isn't that being taught in schools? Why isn't that being pushed? Okay? Why isn't it being pushed to be kinder to one another, man? Stop hating one another. Like so-called black people hate other black people and treat other black people like the Klan did. He crossing you. Now you saying, don't you cross me, boy. Don't you cross me. And what happens? The brother gets killed, man. Death, gun battles over some nonsense, over some trivial stuff. First of all, that's what our slave master would do. All right? More history, which shows that this life we're living in the ghetto, in these ghettos, is not our culture. U.S. presidents as well as senators would have standoffs, Officer Kiadawan, meaning this. If there was a beef in the Senate, they would go outside, draw their guns, and shoot each other over nothing, over, you bumped into me. If you slighted someone's masculinity, you crossed them the wrong way. White men would have shootouts, gun battles. You can go look this up. You can go and look this up. The slaves saw it and the slaves copied it. This is not black culture. This is not, how black men are. This is learned behavior. And if we're going to have Black History Month, let's have Black History Month. Let's teach the people that this culture we have is a culture of another nation, which is why the Lord said to not take their gods, Officer Kiadawan. You're seeing it in the streets. Every shooting that happens in Alaska happens because we take on other gods. Say it again, Officer
Sir,
Kiadawan.
if I might add to that, Salakia, they might have they might have draws or either sword fights.
Yeah, they would have sword fights, draws over what? Thou steppest on my shoe. Right? Steppeth outside to prove your manhood. Now the slaves do it. That's not black history. That's not black culture, man. And that needs to be taught. That they were having gun battles. And these things didn't come to us. All right? And we're better than some filth in the ghetto, which is what they teach. All right? And we need to take white supremacy off because all this stuff going on here, all this stuff we think is black is white supremacy. That's all it is. All right? Solomon said, I am black, but comely, black and beautiful to his sisters. All right? Christ was the same way. Yahushua loved the church, the school, what have you, and corrected them as well. And was strict with them as well, and was kind with them as well, which is how we should be to so-called black women. You understand? Like strict yet kind. Okay? All right? Check them. They should be corrected. They should know in these neighborhoods that it's not cool to just show your behind off everywhere. That look, we're not going to give you this attention if all you want is sex. If all you want to do is just degrade yourself, then you can do it by yourself. You can go talk to yourself. Okay? You can be naked in front of a wall and pose for the damn wall. See if the wall will help you out. That's how it should be done. Strictly, sternly. But in the spirit, but with love. And not having sex with them and then saying hoes ain't nothing. They are something. You love them. That's why you're having sex with them. Okay? But in sincerity and truth, correcting these sisters, man. In sincerity and truth, educating them. All right? And a good education is ignoring at times. Read on. What do you have?
As the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
As the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Man, the tents of Kedar, curtains of Solomon were known for being black. Okay, Solomon was a very dark-skinned man. The Jews are so-called black people. Okay, so this game they've been playing and the wickedness of the church is coming to an end. All right, give me Isaiah 31. Give me woe to the pastors, man. Because this is what the church should have been teaching. This is what they should be talking about during Black History Month. This is what they should be bringing out in their sermons. That so-called black men and women need to be kind to one another, man. Not putting each other on child support. Not calling some, you dogging her out and calling her some nappy-headed hoe and kicking her to the damn curb. Like this is Sparta. Okay? Not treating the black man, so-called black men, like garbage. Stop arguing and bickering with one another. Stop hating one another, man. Stop turning each other into the devil. Stop killing one another. That's what we have to stop doing. This should be taught by the pastors. All this is in the Bible. They're in the seat of Moses. They didn't do it. And they failed their job. And all this blood is being shed, all the blood during the coronavirus, because they're saying crime's going up. All this blood that's been shed is on Pastor Porkchop's hands, man. It's on Pastor Porkchop's hands. He ran and hid in his air-conditioned mansion with masks, socially distancing, while so-called black people, black men and women were out in the streets killing each other, man. While George Floyd, a knee was put on his neck. They've been quiet with their N95 masks in an air-conditioned mansion during our greatest time of need. Woe unto them, man. Woe unto them. They should be ashamed of themselves. And I pray that church goes broke. And I pray that church it is closed, and they're on the I-85 in Atlanta, Georgia, selling roses and waters in the heat of the summer, man. That's not wrong, but they need to feel what we feel, man, and they need to lose their seat. They need to lose their seat. They need to lose their power, man. Give me, matter of fact, give me it's Jeremiah 23, Kayada 1. Give me Jeremiah 23. Give me woe to the pastors, man. Any questions you have in the chat, type them in. Type in your questions. All right. This is the Alaska class taught by priest officer of 5,000 Abundance, myself. Joining me is the mighty officer of 50, Kayada 1. Jeremiah 23 and 1. Jeremiah 23 and 1. And they sit while our sisters funnel into those abortion clinics like bees in a beehive. They sit and do nothing about it. When they got the book in their hands, when they went to theologian school, they're disgusting, man. They're the daughters of the Roman Catholic Church, full of child molestation and rape. Their members, nothing but child molesters, rapists, okay? Drug dealers, murderers, and evil aged women. Evil aged women. That's what's in that church. And downloads, okay? And the fudge packers, all right? Rainbow tasters. Jeremiah 23 and 1. Let's read it.
Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of the pasture.
Yeah, all this anarchy and chaos is at the doors, is at the feet, should be laid at the feet of the Christian church. The Black Christian church, the place that's supposed to teach morality, is devoid of morality. How in West Hell does that work? Excuse my language. The place that is supposed to be full of morality is devoid of all morality, is the factory of making men and women with no morals. You want to find the biggest freak? It's no secret. You go to the Christian church. Find the woman with the young girl, the woman with the biggest hat. Okay? Murderers and drug dealers dwell in the damn Christian church. In these cities, in Anchorage, Fairbanks, Baltimore, all across the lower 48. It's no secret. When that's supposed to be the place that brings us together, this is the place that scatters us. Now, because so many of us have gone through abuse in the church, we associate the Bible with abuse. Now, because they've sat there and told us nothing in the Bible, none of the color scriptures. Hell, the Southern Baptist Church has been told to not bring up color, not bring up race at all. Because that hasn't happened, many of the young folk have gone out into the streets and have just went into whatever philosophy they want. Afrocentric, Nubianism, Islam, worshiping heads of lettuce, bowing and calling the black woman God. Nonsense. We've just been scattered like sheep. The pastors have done that. Read on.
Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep, and my pasture, said the Lord.
And destroy and scatter the sheep, my pastor. Destruction unto them. Trayvon Sparks asks a question. Shalom, Ak. All right, brother coming from Fort Worth, Texas. Hailing from Fort Worth, Texas. He said he wanted to know, why did the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom split? We're going to answer your question right now, brother. Get me First King. Is it First King? Let's try First Kings 11. Kayada, give me First Kings 11. Yeah, First Kings, let's get First Kings 11 and 1. We're going to answer your question, brother. All right? First Kings 11 and
1. First Kings 11. Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, Hast thou not heard, excuse me, hast thou not heard that Adoniah, the son of Haggith, doeth reign, and David Lord knoweth it not?
You're First Kings chapter 11, verse 1? Go to 1 Kings 11 and 1. All right, I'm going to break it down for the brother Trayvon Sparks. The reason the northern and southern
McKee,
kingdom split because King Solomon was having sex with heathen women, and a punishment that was put on the entire nation for what one man did was that the 10 tribes, the so-called northern kingdom, was going to be split from the southern kingdom, which is why to this day there's a divide between Latinos and so-called black people. Trayvon Sparks, brother, I don't know if you watched Us versus the Proud Boys, which was on yesterday. Matter of fact,
Friday, sir.
a few days ago. I'm not sure if you watched it, but the leader of the Proud Boys is a Manassite, is a brother from the tribe of Manasseh, so-called Cuban. He's siding with the so-called white man against us. Okay? That's the history of the Northern Kingdom. The Northern Kingdom would go with the heathens against the so-called Negro. Okay? That split has happened because of the sins of Solomon, because he laid down with Chinese woman. He wanted Becky. He wanted Matumbo. Okay? He wanted Shi Ling Mong. He wanted love long time. All right? Because of that, the kingdom was split. I'm going to show you that as well. All right? So in 1 Kings 11 and 1, it says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, so-called Chinese, Ammonites, so-called Japanese, Edomites, so-called Caucasians, Sidonians, and Hittites, okay, South Africans, whatever, Tanzanian, Zimbabwean, South African, whatever filth that runs around on there, all right? Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. He claved with them in love. Okay? He fell in love with, some white women, Scarlett Johansson and the Chinese and Japanese women, which he should not have done. He wasn't supposed to do that. All right? Bear with me 1 second. So they turned him away. He went to go serve the gods of the other nations. You can read about that on down from verse 5 in 1 Kings chapter 11. All right? This is 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. All right? Listen closely. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant. What part of the covenant did he break? He broke the rule that we had of no interracial marriage, Deuteronomy 7 and 3. All right? And thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, the statutes, okay, which the king had. So he knew these laws about not laying down with heathen women, and he still went ahead and did it, okay, because his lust overcame him. He wanted to have variety. He wanted to have diversity. When he had enough flavors amongst the daughters of Zion, the children of Israel, Brazilian women, Colombian women, Puerto Rican women, Dominican women, Mexican women, so-called black women in the United States, Native American women, Argentinian women. My goodness, how could a man go wrong? Well, he did, because his lust overtook him. All right? Haitian women, Caribbean women as well. All right? So, like if I forgot any of the sisters of the 12 tribes. All right? Central American women as well. All right? Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee. You see that? Under King David, to the brother that asked the question, the nation of Israel was unified under King David. Finally, it was unified. King Solomon sinned by sleeping with women of other nations. And because of that, the Lord rent the kingdom from him. All right? And will give it to thy servant. Who is his servant? The so-called Puerto Rican by the name of Jeroboam. All right? Ephraim were the servants, if you will, of Solomon, as all the other tribes. The Lord rent the kingdom and gave it to his servant. He gave it to the Puerto Ricans, the Ephraimites. Okay, the Ephraimites ran the northern kingdom, ran the so-called Mexicans, Brazilians, Native Americans of North, South, Central America, the Seminole Indians as well, Colombians, Cubans, Nicaraguans, El Salvadorans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, and Rehoboam and the Judites ruled the tribe of Judah, mostly all the tribe of Judah, a portion of Benjamin, a portion of Levi. All right, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, so you can understand. All right, let's get down to verse 30. All right, 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 30. And it says, and Ahiah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. So he took a garment, he tore it into 12 pieces. This is verse 31. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, behold, I will rent the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon and will give 10 tribes to thee. So biblically, 10 tribes were given to 10 tribes were given to Jeroboam, so-called Puerto Rican. The 10 tribes were all the tribes except for Judah and Benjamin. All right, because you have to remember, Levi was scattered in amongst all the tribes because the priests didn't have an inheritance. They were living amongst the tribes as priests. All right, so 10 tribes were given unto Jeroboam, the Puerto Rican, or the Ephraimite. Verse 32, but he shall have one tribe, okay? One tribe. That one tribe specifically was the kingdom, was the tribe of Judah, all right? For my servant David's sake and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. So Solomon was able to keep the tribe of Judah for David's sake. Meaning what? For what? Because there was a man from David that was sent to rule. Okay, so that's why he kept Judah to Solomon, so that the bloodline could continue in the fashion that it was continuing in Jerusalem, and so that Christ could be brought forth. All right? But all the other tribes were split. The northern kingdom was all the other tribes. The southern kingdom was Judah, all right? After the captivity of Babylon or Persia, what have you, we began to be called Jews, all right? Jew is short for Judah, all right? Trayvon Sparks, hopefully that answered your question. That's on topic, man. That's Black history. We were separated from the Latinos. Our brothers are the so-called Latinos and Native Americans. Enrique Torres, okay, a.k.a. Clayton Bigsby, he's one of our brothers, all right? He's one of our brothers. And he, like many of our people, have been separated by division, all right? Separated by division based on cultures, ideologies, etc. So hopefully that answered your question, Trayvon Sparks. Any other questions, type your questions in. Any other questions, type your questions in. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe to ISUBK Alaska on YouTube. Like the page, ISUBK Alaska on Facebook. Coming at you live every Saturday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Alaska time. It's 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. All right, so let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis 27 and 41. Genesis 27 and 41. Like you can't teach love to these people. And you can't expect these people to love you because they won't. The author of Black History, whose name is Carter G. Woodson, started Black History because he believed by educating white people, Caucasians, our oppressor, they would be less racist. That's what he thought. They would hate us less. Well, that's an absolute lie, and it's failed. Black history's failed us. All right? We need to understand is the Bible, because that's the wisdom that we're lacking. That's the knowledge that we're lacking. Read.
And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him.
Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing his father blessed him. Bear with me 1 second. I got to plug my computer in. Just realizing now, I did not add my computer plugged in at all. All right. Computer can stay charged. Brothers and sisters, if you're watching online, if you like and share, read the scripture again. Read it again.
And Esau said to his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother in Jacob.
Okay. Read on.
And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and
Right.
said
So
unto him,
Esau was planning to kill Jacob. Esau was planning to kill Jacob. Read on. No, matter of fact, you got to go to Matter of fact, read Genesis 27 and 41 again from the top, please.
Come, I don't want to come, sir. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him.
Esau
And
hated
Esau,
Jacob because of the blessing. Carter G. Woodson, he's not around anymore, but he should have been read this scripture. He was a historian, a Harvard graduate. And of all the history he compiled, he could not find the history of Jacob and Esau and apply it to his own life enough for him to understand that educating them is not going to make them hate us less. Esau hated Jacob, not because of a lack of knowledge of our culture, not because of a lack of understanding of who we are and how we act, or our speech, not because of our pants sagging, our pants, being up. When they were hanging us, lynching us, they were hanging us in our Sunday best. They were hanging us in suits and ties. It has nothing to do with music. It has nothing to do with what you wear, what you don't wear, how you act. They hate us because of the blessing. We are blessed. And at the highest levels, they know that. They know that we are the children of Israel. And that's why every other commercial is about bacon. That's why there's a ton of commercials about interracial marriage. That's why they're saying that weed is black, smoking weed is cool. Notice, everything cool and popular in this society is against God. Everything. But everything popular and trending in this society is against God. And many of the people that are famous and promoted amongst our people and amongst the other nations are absolute deviants and the worst people to follow. Like these people that we follow and look up to so much today, they're going to be sweeping your floors. Okay? Like Oprah Winfrey is going to have a mean cornbread recipe in the kingdom of heaven. That's about it. She's not going to have her own damn show. She's not going to be a billionaire. She's not going to write those silly little books. Steve Harvey is not going to make a book called Think Like a Man. And he's not going to be showing his teeth all over TV. Steve Harvey, Oprah Winfrey, they'll be sweeping floors. Okay? They'll be Israelites, of course. They won't be slaves, but they'll be the like the white trash of the kingdom of heaven, if you can so you can understand. Why? Because that's where they should be. They're the worst of our people. Jay-Z as well. All right? They'll be the people, oh man, look at him. Why don't we give them some money? Why don't we give them some food? Let's help our brothers and sisters out. All right? Just like Donald Trump looks at his people in the Appalachian Mountains in those trailer parks and said, oh man, you guys are terrible. Let's make America great again. Okay? That's how you look at Jay-Z, Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Dr. Dre. That's how you look at all of them, man. Oh, look at them. You got to help them out. All right? Read the scripture again. I lost my train of thought.
And Esau hated his brother because, no, Salakia. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him.
Right, they don't bring these things up, these rich and famous people. Esau hated us because of the blessing that our father blessed us with. Read on.
And Esau said in his heart, the days of the mourning for my father are at hand.
Mm-hmm. The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Read on.
Then I will slay my brother Jacob.
He was going to kill him, man. He was going to kill him over a birthright that he didn't even want. Remember, a lot of people think that Jacob stole the birthright. He didn't steal it. He supplanted it. All right? He finessed it. Okay? Jacob finessed the birthright from Esau when Esau didn't even really want it. Okay? He sold his birthright for immediate pleasure, which is just what he'll do today. He'll do anything for $1. He'll bomb, murder the next country. He'll drop an atomic bomb. He'll sell crack in poor black communities to make a quick buck to defeat the Russians, some other Caucasian enemy. Okay? He'll destroy the world to get his own ends met. That's who he is. And he hates us because of the blessing we received. So Carter G. Woodson, aim of Black Lives Matter, Black History Month, etc., is ridiculous. Okay? Because they have a perpetual hatred for us, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. All right? It will not stop.
Forever hate, perpetuate.
Right, perpetually. Now take me to Daniel 7 and 9. Daniel 7 and 9. We're going to get the tone, skin color of God so you can understand who God is. For time's sake, God is a so-called black man, a Negro. All right? We're going to show you according to Daniel 7 and 9. If you look up, if you search woolly head in Google, Webster's 1913 dictionary, woolly head, right? will describe a woolly head as a Negro. They used to call us the woolly heads. We're going to show you that God has a woolly head as well. God is a so-called Negro, a black man. Not in the sense that we're men, like we have physical flesh. We have the urge, men get the urge to have sex. They want to eat or what have you, use the bathroom. He's spirit, so you can understand. He's made of a different material, totally different system. He doesn't have urges or things like that in the sense that we have them. All right? But nonetheless, he's a so-called black man. The spirit we have to be flashy, to be well dressed, etc., is a spirit that God has. All right? They called us woolly heads. God is described as having a head of wool as well. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9. Read.
And behold, till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Who's the Ancient of Days? God. Who's older than time? God, the Most High. He did sit. Go ahead.
Whose garment was white as snow.
His garment was white as snow. He had a white garment on. Okay, he has a garment, so that means he has a body. God is not some blob of light beams floating around the sky. He has a physical body. And on his body, he had a white garment. Go ahead.
And the hair of his head like the pure wool.
The hair of his head like what?
Pure wool.
So the hair of his head like the pure wool. The hair of his head like the pure wool. What did they call us during slavery? Woolly heads. What does the term nappy mean when you look it up? The term nappy was used as a colloquialism and a derogatory term against black people in America. It started to be used as a derogatory term in the 1840s. Africans do not have nappy hair. They don't. The term nappy-headed, was used against so-called black people here in America from the 1840s. All right? The term nappy is also used of sheep. Why? Because sheep also have, soft or kinky hair, what have you. Okay? That's what it means. And when they describe, pickaninnies and these caricatures that they use of us, they said of Topsy, the pickaninny in Uncle Tom's Cabin, that her woolly locks were braided. Okay? We're the woolly heads, man. Our heads are of pure wool. God, as well as the so-called Negro, can have woolly hair, have what they call nappy hair. And they make that derogatory. They made that something to be frowned upon. They say that's unprofessional. They say it's unkempt. But it's the hair that God has on his head. It's the hair that Christ, the Savior of the earth, has on his head. Okay? The King of Kings is coming back with a full head of nappy hair. All right? Going to make oppressors have a heart attack all across the earth. The Space Force is going to go on the PA system. You're loitering. Stop loitering. Okay? They're going to go on the Space PA. Negro is loitering. Contact the authorities. Giant Negro, super black. Teeth, you can only see his teeth. He's got red eyes, full head of hair, giant garment on. He's loitering in space. Get the space cops. Help. Okay? And then they're going to go black. Right? Johnson. All right? Negro seen transporting in space. Over. You have any patrol units? Okay? That's the kind of disrespect they have for us, man. That's what's going to happen. He's going to come to earth to destroy and to kill. And he has a woolly head. Okay? The term woolly head was used for the so-called Negroes. Why is this being taught in school? Why was this being taught? They used to call us woolly heads. And look, in the Bible, God has a woolly head. Look, Christ is a woolly head. The so-called Negroes are the real Jews. We're the children of God. Okay? And if you want to take it to the other tribes as well, many of the so-called natives have straight hair. But even on that note, the so-called Latinos as well, it still isn't loose, and stringy and falling out of their head like a so-called Caucasian woman's hair. Even their hair is thick. The so-called Mexicans, when they grow their hair will come up in a little fluff. You get my point? You ever seen Mexicans, in Cali, East Los? When they cut their hair will stick up like this. We don't have the hair like them, man, even when it is straight. It's fluff. It's, curves and sticks up like sheep's wool. Even the so-called Mexicans, their hair will grow in spikes, all right, coming out of their head. If they grew their hair out, that hair would be fluffy as well, okay? Without the hair products, our hair would be woolly, okay? Not to say that there's anything wrong with treating your hair if that's something you want to do because you want it to lay down or whatever. You got it, you're on, you want to put conditioner on it and all that. None of those things are wrong. What I'm saying is that God has nappy hair. That's what I'm saying. All right? It's as simple as that. He's a woolly head, and they describe the so-called Negro in America as a woolly head, man. If you have any questions in the chat, type your questions in. We're covering the truth about Black history, what they don't teach you in school. All right? At this class, the viewers will be aware, man, how to navigate through this world, understand who the enemy is, and know that they have a rich history, man. A rich history that predates slavery. So again, if you have any questions on any of the chats, go ahead and type them in. All right? Officer Kiata wants to take me. Where do we want to go? Well, let's go to
We still got to finish that. Sir, I haven't finished that verse 9 yet, all the way down to
finish verse 9, please.
Okay. I'm a Khan, sir. and his hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame.
His throne was like the fiery flame. The one you call God is sitting on a throne of fire. Now, tell me that isn't something that so-called black men would do. Okay? You made your car with flames on it. You got the Hellcat, right? The Scat Pack with the engine showing, with a hood scoop on, if you will. The motor sounds like a raptor, a T-Rex. Why? Because you have the spirit of the so-called a black man, the spirit of God in that sense. You understand? The spirit of being a warrior, all that comes from God. The problem is that we have used that drive, that energy to be full-out white supremacists, man, to be Klansmen. Okay, so you can understand. But we need to take that energy and go to war with the slave master, with the devil, in spiritual war, not carnal war, because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. You don't need to worry about the ISUPK committing acts of terrorism or going in and shooting up the deli. We don't do those things, man. We do something far more dangerous. And that is teach the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans the truth about who they are. We teach the so-called Negro the truth about Black History Month. We dismantle all your lies and your holidays, which is far more dangerous than shooting 4 tassel-wearing, chutzpah and kibbutz loving, so-called Jewish people in a damn deli. It does absolutely nothing. All right? This is real Black history according to the Bible. Let's get the angels, man. Let's go to Ezekiel 1:21. Hold on one second. Good. Hold on one second. Bear with me one second, viewers. I'm looking for a scripture in Ezekiel. Ezekiel 1:7. All right. Ezekiel 1:7, Officer Kiata 1.
Khan, sir. And their feet were straight. Ezekiel 1:7, sir.
Come on, read.
And their feet were straight, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. Mm-hmm. And they sparkled like the color of brownish brass.
They sparkled like in color unto a burnished brass. Their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their foot was like the calf. So meaning this, they had like those ninja boots. You know what I'm talking about? That are split down the hoof like this. They're down the middle. That's the footwear they had. Talk about the shoes they had on. They had boots that were splitting their toes like a calf's foot, right? A calf's heel. It makes this form. This is the shape of a calf's foot, a cow's foot. That's the feet of the angels, all right, in this footwear. They had like it was like a ninja boot, all right. The sole of their foot was like a calf's foot, all right. And they sparkled in color like burnished, like polished brass. What is brass? A derivative of brown. Pick up a penny. Look at a penny. That is the color of the angels in this description here. Okay? Dark-skinned men, brown men. Okay? And the Jews, the Israelites, are different shades of brown. All right? From a light brown to a dark charcoal. All right? Jeremiah 14:2, it also cuts colorism. All right? The slave master chopped us up like pieces of meat. He gives us different names like pieces of meat. Mulatto, quadroon, octoroon, sambo, which is a black and native, right? I already said mulatto. Mestizo, castizo, right? He gives us all these names like pieces of meat. Shoulder, rump roast, rib, right? Porterhouse, tripe. That's what he does with us. That's what he does with us. Okay? And we have to understand that we're one people. And your looks mean nothing. That's another thing needs to be let known during Black History Month. Your looks mean nothing. All right? In terms of who you are, it's the seed that you carry. There are red apples and there are green apples. Do they have an argument? Hey, red apple, you ain't nothing. No, green apple, F you. Are they swinging on the tree trying to hit each other? No, they're just apples. All right? There are many different species of potatoes. There are many different forms of Israelites, many different tribes. All right? And your bloodline determines who you are. All right? Not the color of your skin. That's another thing those idiot Proud Boys got wrong. Everyone that looks at us on face value thinks that we just an Afrocentric group, and we only let in, the darkest of Negroes, I guess. I don't know what their thought is, because you can clearly see our group and see we have people of many different shades, okay, in our group, many different hair textures, etc. Latinos, natives, so-called black people, so-called Haitians, etc. I don't know what they're watching, all right, or if they can see. Maybe they might be partially blind or something. Okay, they might be asking their dog, and the dog goes, "Woof, they're all black." The dog can't see. Okay, they look all black to me. Woof. I don't know. Okay, but we are a group that's based in the Bible, not based in Nuwabian ridiculous science. All right, read the scripture that you have.
And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides.
So that's a description of the angels. The angels aren't naked babies with arrows shooting you and laughing. Okay, the angels, aren't homosexual or gay is I guess a more correct word, politically correct word. The angels are men as well, so-called black men. Not men in the way we are. They don't have an urge to have sex or they don't need to eat to live. They can go stand in the sun. They can go spend some time in the sun and do whatever it is that they do, and nothing will happen to them. You put your hand on the stove, you'll get hot. They're different. Okay, there are bodies celestial and bodies terrestrial. But nonetheless, the angels, the host of heaven, are dark-skinned, just like God, just like Christ, just like His people. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, different shades of brown. Okay, from very, 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 very light brown, almost like a milk white, to a dark charcoal. Okay, and the King of Kings is a midnight black man. Okay, coming back on the earth, taller than everybody, with a head full of hair, red eyes, and white hair, with a garment. And he's not going to do any talking. He's just going to do, behind whooping. All right, slashing, cutting, and killing. That's all that's going to happen. That's in the scriptures. When he comes back, he's not going to make a shout. He's not going to make a plea. He's just going to be executing judgment. When he comes back, it's killing time. All right? There's no picket signs. He's not coming with picket signs, no justice, no peace. He's not marching to Washington to have a speech. He's coming to vaporize Washington, to burn it alive, to burn the inhabitants, and to take the survivors into slavery. That's black history, man. That's black future. Okay, that's the future of so-called black people. Jesus Christ is coming. He's a so-called black man, and he's going to put this earth in order. All right, is that it on that scripture?
No, sir. There's more. Con
All
on
right,
con.
get me Revelation 7:4. All right, Revelation 7:4. This is more on black history in the sense of this is the future of black people. All right, there are going to be 12,000 men from the so-called Negro here in America that are going to rule the planet Earth, and their family after them forever. All right, this won't be taught. Never will you hear some politicians say, "Yeah, black men are going to rule." What does the world talk about when they talk about black women? Oh, they're nothing. They're deadbeat dads. When that statistically isn't true at all. There is no better father in this land than so-called black men. Through the hell they receive from their own woman that they've laid next to, the hell they receive from the system, the hell they've received in terms of getting a job, etc., the hell they receive from police. There is no better father on this planet than the so-called black man. None. All right? And to talk about them like that is disgusting. What they won't say is that 12,000 are going to rule the planet Earth. And that's what's going to happen. Okay? Read the scripture, Revelation chapter 7 and verse 4.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed. And these were sealed as 144,000
Right. Of all what? Go ahead.
Of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
144,000. 12,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. These are men, okay? These are men. You can find that, I believe, in Revelation 14. But the 144,000 are going to be men, all right? Women are going to have a place of great value in the kingdom of heaven, but they're not going to be ruling. That's not a woman's place. All right, it's not a woman's place to rule. These men, this 144,000 is going to be men. All right, and when the 144,000 rule, there will be no child molestation. When the 144,000 rule, a rapist will be made an excellent and brutal example of. Okay. All that I'm crazy and I have to kill and all that's going to get put the hell down. Serial killers are having a ball right now during this coronavirus. That's also not being talked about. There's an active serial killer in Chicago for years, probably murdering all these sisters. There was an active serial killer in Los Angeles. Active serial killers all over this damn country. They're getting cut down when 12,000 black men rule. When 12,000 black men rule, there will be no, fraternities and organizations of rapists. There will be no, human trafficking women all across this planet. They're coming out now and saying they're finding Brazilian and Chilean women over there in Japan. Brazilian women trafficked all the way to Japan and shackled in some room and fed tuna and eggs and let those nasty Ammonites go in and have sex with them. Being trafficked as prostitutes and forced into prostitution, man. Finding Mexican, Chilean, and Brazilian women all the way in Japan. That's getting cut the hell down. And whoever was involved with that nonsense is going to be made a beautiful example of. Okay? A beautiful example of. All this nonsense is getting pushed aside. And they don't teach that about black history. That black men are the solution to peace on earth. You want peace on earth? You must want black men to rule. If you're a tree hugger, you love trees, you love the environment, save the environment, you want to save the whales, you want black men to rule that. Otherwise, the whales aren't going to get saved under this child that's ruling the earth. He can't even run Texas. What makes you think he's going to run the planet Earth? Okay? The white man in Texas, he didn't pay his light bill. Okay? He can't keep his lights on. He's the God of the earth. He's the man that our woman's calling the cops on us with. She's calling him to come sort the situation out. He can't keep the lights on. Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Like the lights are out in Texas. Texans are dying because of failed leadership from the Caucasians, man. When 12,000 black men rule, there will be no people going hungry and all this through COVID. All right? Health crises like these would almost never happen in the kingdom anyway, because anybody eating pangolin is going to get cut up into pieces. Okay? It's rude, it's rough, it's brutal. That's how it's going to work. All right? They're not going to be nice guys and guys you can just push around. Okay? These men are going to be cold, calculated, disciplined. And they're going to execute the judgment of the Most High with extreme prejudice. Okay? With extreme prejudice against all those that want to disobey, that don't want us to rule. And those that don't want Christ to rule, he said the same thing. Bring him hither, bring him and slay him, kill him in front of me, man. That's what's going to happen all across this earth. That's the future of black people. That's black future. Okay? We see black history, slavery, right? Oppression, misery, embarrassment, humiliation, emasculation. But the future, 12,000 so-called black men that endure until the end. They join the truth. They take this knowledge inside of them and then actually apply it. That do the work of the disciples, do the work of the apostles, do the work of the prophets of God, the prophets of old. They'll be in the ruling government of heaven. With power and might that you can't even understand. The Lord said this, that he smote us from the head to the tail. Okay? The scriptures say in the day that Christ returns, that it's going to look like, it's going to sound like horses are running. Okay? When so-called black men get the power. All right? So-called Latinos get the power. Latino and black men. It's going to sound like horses are running, and they're going to jump and leap over tall buildings. Okay? Okay? You're going to see absolute science fiction happen before your eyes on this earth. All right? And we're going to shock and destroy and beat these nations into submission. The scriptures say this, ye shall rule with a rod of iron. Everything I'm saying is in the Bible. Everything I'm saying is in the Bible. Black History Month should be giving the so-called black men their true history, right? Because the scriptures say, consider the days of old, their true record, and showing them how to rule through that record, because that's the future. That's what the so-called black community should be preparing. The 12,000 so-called Negro men to rule. The Puerto Ricans setting up, preparing the 12,000 Puerto Rican men to rule. Dominicans, Haitians, Brazilians, Colombians, Bolivians, Native Americans, Seminole Indians should be preparing their men to rule the planet Earth. That's what the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is doing, and only the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is doing. This was real Black History Month. Maybe we're crazy, maybe we just, fools, but we were right about the storms, right? Command General Yohanna said, prepare for the winter. He said it. And look at what's happening now in the winter. Okay? We're in the midst of the prophets of God back here on earth. And you better take heed to what's being said, man. So-called Negroes and Latinos in Alaska need to put up their folly ground and come into the truth. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. All right? And with that, I'm going to conclude the class on Facebook. Shalom. Make sure you smash the like button. Share this to all the groups. ISBK Alaska. All right? And on YouTube, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is right at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. All right? New brother or sister is off limits for 30 days. They're off limits for 30 days. They can be, for 6 months. Off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves in the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which they report each other. After this, they'll get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, pay your tithes. All right, you can pay it through Cash App. If you're in Alaska, you can pay it through Cash App. The Cash App is 1 West Tithes. I'm going to put that in the comment section, in the chat. The cash tag is 1 West Tithe. We spent all our money on weed. We gave all our money to some sodomite charlatan to spend and buy private jets. You can give your money to the prophets of God. Be quiet about it. Because all we require is what the Lord requires, 10%. Tithes, 10% of all your increase. All right? Priest fund, it's a free will offering for a priest. It's whatever amount you'd like to give. It's not mandatory. Upcoming holy convocations is the Feast of Purim. I believe it's next Thursday. So it's coming up to this Thursday. It's coming up this Thursday, February 25th. And then it's Friday, February 26th, 2021. You can read about that in Esther, chapter 9, verses 20 through 31. If any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, start to wear all black, boot, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. That being said, I majim, which means stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute. Amajim Shabbat. Amajim Shabbat. Amajim, bring your right foot in, fist at your side. Barak, right fist across your chest. Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Brakatah. All right, brother. Shalom. The water.